Well, we're here with a lady that really needs no introduction because we recorded it like a week ago at a location in Toronto.
Oh.
But if you are tuning in, we're here with screenwriter, voice actor, actress, mother.
Mom. Director of motherly studies at home.
Director of children, which is great. Lake Bell, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me in this pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic.
He tested me a lot of times before I'm here maskless. And we aren't virtually, we're actually like, look.
This is real. I'm not CG. These are real hard
nice
kicks
shoes, by the way.
Cowboy boots.
Or my mom's.
I'm so glad I didn't wear mine.
Or should you have?
I was going to call you.
Okay.
Are you going to wear
Next
the boots?
time, when we do our 10th anniversary of this interview, please wear your cowboy boots.
The equestrian of talk show guests.
Thank you.
We're going to talk a lot about cartoon villains.
Yes.
And it's no secret why you're sitting here talking to us about this, because you play currently Poison Ivy.
Yes.
On the acclaimed HBO Max Harley Quinn show.
Yeah. Oh, shit. Piss cakes of a dick.
Were you a Batman fan at all before?
I mean, the truth is like, I'm more of a voiceover character fan and animation fan in general as a more overarching medium and something that I'm patently obsessed with. But when I'm not like, oh, I know all the nuances and kind of like esoteric channels of all the characters in the verse, you know? It's not like that. I love the idea of fantastical characters, and that the freeing, beautiful thing about doing voiceover work, as you well know intimately, is that you can be anyone. You can be anything. You can anthropomorphize things that are inanimate. You can be animals, you can be anything, right? And that is what I find so exciting and just Moorish, you know? And so I think in the idea of being a superhero, you know, gosh, I think every kid wants to be my kids want to be superheroes. And, you know, I don't think that goes away when you get to be an adult. You still want to be a superhero.
Now, speaking of adults and superheroes,
and villains.
Right. Well, you already got me there, because I look at this show and it's this trend, not a trend, but it's just the way that we're telling these stories now. The villains have suddenly become the main focus of a lot of these shows.
Well, that's also, I mean, the thing is that the Poison Ivy that I portray is not like the quintessential villain. Like she has become kind of the somewhat moral compass to Harley Quinn's madness and her lover, and we are lovers and conquerors and comrades together, and we take on big heists and do naughty business, but through some kind of weird moral code that is all our own.
But I think that's what makes the show so good, is that we've seen it all when it comes to heroes and villains, and then you have these realistic
conversation.
These relationships.
Yes,
That, like you said, it's not the quintessential Poison Ivy. So knowing who the character was before and how villains have always been portrayed, how easy, how difficult was it for you to slide into this character, and how did you make it your own?
I mean, I think, just to speak to that, I think that what makes it, like, modern viewers want it to feel ambiguous. You know, it's like, you can't just have a villain that's like, you know, like, I'm doing bad thing. I don't know if that's the sound of a quintessential villain, but the point is that, you know, it needs to feel ambiguous. You have to like them, you know, so that then you're confused when they do naughty business, you know. Also, naughty business is coming up a lot. I don't know if that becomes a hashtag or something on a t-shirt.
That's the name of the episode, for sure. Naughty business with Lake Bell.
No, but like, you know, I think that moral ambiguity, I think, is like really exciting for viewers and very modern.
Okay, marry, fuck, kill. Kite Man, Mr. Freeze, Joker.
Yeah, I mean, the first one is my fiance, so duh. And then the other two are dead, and one of them is your dead ex-boyfriend, so gross and duh.
Almost also, the characters, in a way, on this show in particular, are aspiring to be so much greater, and being a moral compass for a character that's already a psychologist for so many people in Arkham Asylum. Like, can you speak to the aspirational side of the show and like how it's trying to kind of like lift these characters who are completely flawed? And how does that speak to today's audience? Like, why do we relate to it so well?
I think, first of all, I think that the way that the writers have crafted something that's so irreverent and so human in it's like humanizing things that are utterly inhuman. So, you know, even just in the relationship, really of all the characters, but the way that they speak to each other in the simplicity of an exchange, the fact that we improvise a ton within the skeleton of a scene, because I will say it's impeccably written, so it's like the words are usually pretty bang on, but there's room to be messy and human like that, and that tumbly kind of, you know, rat-tat-tat and the little talking over each other and in ordering, you know, takeout.
Gonna go pick up some Thai food. Text me what you want.
But wait, I'll have a green potato curry.
Yeah, but I said, I just text it to me.
But you're right here.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna remember it, and then you won't like what I get you, and then you're gonna want some of mine. Just fucking text it.
Like, that kind of thing is allowing for you to feel like, oh, I totally relate to them. So it's like these villains and these super arched people and characters that you've known for so many years and have, you know, gone through generations and generations of children and adults, you know, and then all of a sudden they're just very, very human and just like, did you get toilet paper or not? You know, like, just because I can't stand it when it's not that hard to just put, like, the toilet paper's right there, just like change it. You know, it's like, why leave the cardboard roll? You know, it's like those kind of like super relatable moments.
We've all lived with someone that leaves the roll.
Yeah, just take it,
put it
by
in
the way.
carpet.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I'm the person who's always like, I'm gonna change that out. That's me. That's just who I am.
You talk about the impeccable writing, but I want to talk about impeccable performances, and you're clearly one of, you know, no secret, one of the best voice performers out there. Was that always something that you wanted to do? Like,
I'm gonna cry.
Oh, by the way, this Emmy is for you.
Oh,
they sent it
thank you.
ahead of time.
The voiceover Emmys. It's something I was obsessed with. Like, I went to drama school in England, and I always wanted to, you know, create characters and tell stories through that medium. But as an actor, but I became enamored of radio plays super young. Like, I had heard about it. It was so not something that we got to do in our generation. Like, it's just not available. That's, you know, it's just old timey, if you will. But just like the clothing that I'm wearing. But I really liked it, and it sounded, mainly the attraction was like, oh, I could be like a sophisticate, or I could be like a down and dirty kind of anything. I could be anything, and I loved the freedom of that, and so I started studying radio plays in drama school, and I had a demo. I remember when I first came to LA, I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna get off and this is how I'm gonna make my money. I'm not gonna have to be a waitress. I'm just gonna go straight to making the big bucks doing that voiceover. And obviously, I just became a waitress because the voiceover industry was just like, you know, we're good. We have everyone we need. You know what I mean? And it's so hard to break into.
First episode I watched was like, that voice, I'm pretty sure she served me breakfast once at the IHOP. No.
Yeah.
What have you done in the world of voiceover for females, especially the sound of voice? And when I hear Poison Ivy speak, it just sounds like such a rich, low voice that's been dragged through coffee beans. And but like, what have you noticed of how females have performed roles, both on camera but mainly in voiceover? And for me, it's a show that breaks the mold.
I concur. I mean, I feel very strongly about voiceover. I mean, I had to write, direct, and star in a movie about voiceover in order to come into the business. That really was my entrance into it. In a world.
Hey, make sure your phone's turned off. I think we're getting some feedback out here.
Oh. And it's, In a World is very much like a secretly a feminist manifesto to the voiceover world.
Well, let's face it, the industry does not crave a female sound.
Dad, you made me painfully aware of that my whole life.
Not being sexist, that's just the truth. You should stick with the accents. That's what you're good at.
Because the idea of the omniscient voice is continued to be a male sound, you know, and I always, as a kid, was like, why is the voice of authority, you know, male? It just is, and it makes sense and it feels right, but why, you know, and why is in a world, you know, like why is that not a female voice? Like, and so that's what prodded the story.
In a world.
In a world. In a world.
Wow. Cannot wait to see that movie.
But then, of course, it turned into art mimicked life a little bit in that after that movie, I was up for the first female voice as the voice of Apple iPhone 6S.
This is iPhone 6S. Not much has changed, except it's ridiculously powerful, which makes everything faster. Maps, messages, browsing, shopping stuff, businessy stuff.
This kind of stuff.
This kind of stuff.
And Apple had always had male voices as the voiceover, you know, in their commercials.
The marketing.
Yeah. And so I remember sitting in a waiting room with all men, and I was the only lady there, and going in and auditioning and finally getting it. And it was totally epic. And I feel like I was so emotional and such a win for me. To get to be like, you know, the new Apple iPhone 6S. You know, like I was like, yeah, motherfuckers. You know, it was just, it was beautiful. And so I think in terms of the female sound and the trends that have gone up and down through the ages, voice is so, it's so revealing about sort of where we are culturally, where we are socially, and a female voice really sort of exposes those things, whether it's, you know, talking like, you know, vocal fry, or like really up pitch or up talk, or, you know, feeling like overcompensating and getting really low. And like, this is lower than my natural voice, but, you know, I like that. That's the quality that I imbue, you know, but yeah, it's just an interesting space to talk about culture and society.
Man, I'm so jealous. Like, the fact that you have so many levels even within your own natural cadence and chambers.
I mean, you.
Well, I run away from my own voice.
And that's why I try to sound least like myself.
Right.
But when I watch that show, I hear you.
Pretty me.
It's amazing. I think it's so good.
It's kind of freeing to just use your own, you know, your own cadence and then be playful within it. And looking at something that, like a character like Poison Ivy, and saying, let's take everything we know about Poison Ivy and like throw it out the window and just let her be like a human being, you know, and let her, you know, say fuck way too much.
Fuck off. Fucking fuck. Fucking shit. Fucking fuck you.
Okay, let's talk about the cursing on the show.
I'm so sorry, yeah. No. On this show?
It's the most Canadian that you've ever, I'm so sorry. But
I'm sorry.
You've come up with some really, like, do they let you improvise those swear,
yeah, they ask
the combos?
me to just go for it. Yeah, there's always like, it's always like an object plus a swear, you know, like a cuss word, plus like a location. So it's like, fuck nuts of USA.
What the fuck? Shit nuts with a can?
You know, or so it's like, fuck nuts of Canada. I'm so sorry once again. But yeah, no, they're always like, yeah, go for it. But then I remember when I got told that they put some restrictions on how many F-bombs you could say, and I was like, hey, hang on, what are we talking about here? I like had to adjust a little. I was like, who's getting those F-bombs?
Yeah, you had to pull out the contract again and go,
it's like,
it says here in Article 3.
I was like, are you giving them all the Kaylee Cuoco?
Fuck all of ya. Fuck the principal. Fuck the shop teacher that looks at my ass every time I walk out of class. Yeah, I see you.
You know.
Can we talk about how I mean, clearly it's all about the villains on the show. I mistakenly called them the heroes of the show. Well, they are to me.
Well, yeah.
But what about the good guys on the show? They're hilarious, like, you know, being caught doing push-up contests with their shirts off. I laughed so hard when I saw their reactions on how they're like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's why I always sort of like harken back to the writing, because I do think, you know, what's playful is obviously having heroes and villains imbue characteristics that are not traditional, you know, whether it's like being foolish and like goofy if you're like a good guy, and then as a villain you're like super relatable and like smart and witty.
Yeah, do you think that superheroes are played out then? Is that why?
I just think it's like that's like the irreverent nature of the show, where you're just like, oh, this is for grown-ups. Like, it's not for kids. Like tricks are, but this isn't. And so I think that it allows for there to be a playfulness within a sort of more adult sensibility. And that's what I find. I remember reading it I was like, this is so smart, because it's reigniting and reinvigorating the genre through a completely different sort of irreverent lens. Because I also, I mean, just for the record, it's like I also do What If. I'm on What If sometimes.
What? Need a hand? Come on. I feel like you should know me by now. Puns aren't really my style.
The Marvel
one,
yeah. So, and that also, again, it's like about reinventing, totally different tone, totally different feel to that, but playing, you know, Black Widow through this like very heightened and like sort of fantasy universe within already a fantasy group of characters. So.
And even a character like Black Widow, you know, one of the prominent members of the Avengers, the good guys, she still comes from the background of like being an assassin.
I know, and look, I'm just bad.
Is that who you are? Is that what you're trying to tell everyone?
I mean, I think it's good to be not black or white, but live in the gray.
And I think, do you feel like that's everyone right now? Do you feel like that's
Don't
why
you think that makes great character? I mean, even in the most subtle of comedies, like
Marvin the Martian, my favorite villain of all time.
I claim this planet in the name of Mars.
Okay, fair dude.
Converse and a metal tutu.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like you need those dynamics. You need to challenge, you know, the norm and it's like so hard to surprise people now. So you have to surprise them with subtlety and tone, or, you know, throwing the tone on its upside down, you know. So, I agree with you. I think it's cool.
We're talking about villains in the modern sense. When you were growing up, did you have like any like favorite kind of like bad guys or bad ladies? Bad ladies, bad business?
You know, I liked Catwoman.
Now, Isis, my sweet.
And again, historically, I feel like the voice of Catwoman has always been really exciting.
Magnificent.
And I was always attracted to it. I mean, obviously, even like Eartha Kitt.
I said ridiculous, nonsense, foolish prattle. How can Batgirl be the best anything when Catwoman is around?
You know, it's like, and then all the way up to, you know, now. It's like, I find that that was always interesting to me. But it's so funny, you brought up Beetlejuice or whatever, and I was like, there's another really interesting, ambiguous, morally ambiguous character.
Like another kind of anti-hero. You know, even as a cartoon, that was kind of like, wow, they made a cartoon about death and the netherworld, and like this little girl having a best friend that's like almost like a bad guy. I know in the cartoon they made him a bit lighter, but...
But how can you blame me, Lydia? Your parents make it so easy.
I know, but don't you have any willpower?
Willpower?
That little voice inside your head that tells you when you're doing something wrong.
I never do anything wrong.
It's still like a very weird subject that I'm surprised. It went on for a while, and probably one of the only cartoons in our youth growing up that was on Fox and ABC at the same time.
Oh, is that true?
So
okay, you've got all the good, like...
I mean, I don't know if you've seen
that's
this
good
place.
Trivia.
Do you know that a nerd lives here?
I mean, one of the greats, if I may.
I got married and divorced in this hood.
Oh my God.
I'll probably die in this hood.
Stop.
Yeah, did I really? Because you're like, yeah, he probably did.
No,
it's
no,
probably
no,
the truth.
no. You were a nice tip. But yellow. But wait, so that's really interesting. I mean, I grew up with like Gem and the Holograms, and then...
So wasn't the best part of that theme song the Misfits?
Yes!
Yeah.
And so the Misfits were really big, and then we had like He-Man and She-Ra, Gargamel.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are just the guys. But it's interesting. I wasn't... My daughter is really into... My 7-year-old is really into like the bad guys, and I think I was slightly more into the nerds. I mean, I into like not the nerds, but you know, the good guys.
Yeah.
So it's interesting seeing her being like, I like that, you know, and I'm like, why? Because she's like the mean one.
So how often do you watch Harley Quinn with your kids?
I don't.
Okay, good.
Okay, because they are 4 and 7, and they're just like, Mommy, are you, you know, because they know that I'm Poison Ivy, but, you know, like, can we see it? And I'm like, okay, no.
Not even with the volume
But
off,
then
you
I'm
can't
like,
watch it.
Secret Life of Pets.
Yeah, hey,
I
there you
play
go.
Chloe the cat, and that gets me a lot of points.
Max, come on. I'm your friend. Okay, and as your friend, I gotta be honest with you. I don't care about you or your problems. And soon, your perfect little life with your dumb human is gonna be over. Forever.
Forever?
Forever, yeah, that's what I just... Why is this mouse on my paw still?
They're really proud that I am Chloe the cat from Secret Life of Pets.
Considering again that Harley Quinn has pretty much changed the game and the genre a little bit, I was gonna ask, you know, what you think the future of villains are in animation. Considering that I think you are the future of villains in animation, what do you see going forward with?
I mean, I think that we're right in the pocket of like villains getting to be human and flawed and fuck up just like the heroes. And I think that's what makes for good story, good narrative, and it makes you want to bite off more.
Has there been any changes for villains, and in particular the female villain?
Yeah, I actually do think that the female villain now has fragility in a way. Like, you know, even in the live action stuff, it's like in superhero universes all across the board, I think that villains are allowing for much more sort of vulnerability and flawed kind of, and then in my case, humor, which these are all like human traits. So it allows for that accessibility and that relatability, which I think is unique and totally where it's going.
Now, because we have opened up villains like a book and made them more accessible, do we as viewers, should we aspire to be more like villains, or is that still...
No.
Okay.
Yeah, you should be the good guy.
Still be the good guy.
Yeah, because, you know.
Is it kind of like a guilty pleasure to like, okay, let's see what the bad guys are doing?
I mean, we're parents, you know what I mean? We can't be like, be like the villains. You know what I mean? We have to be like heroes. Heroes are where you want to be. Even though my daughter, I'm sure, I don't know if your kid is like going through the like, villains are cooler phase, but I'm like, are you okay up there? You know what I mean? She was like, yeah, I like that, you know.
Like my 5-year-old and I just finished watching The Sopranos, like the entire,
Oh.
you know.
Really?
Yeah, so.
Okay, so advanced.
He kind of
identifies.
He likes the, you know, he
glamorization of the.
I just want fucking eggs. What the fuck are you doing,
Oh,
Dad?
That's what he says to me now.
I got nothing.
Show him Goodfellas next.
Send
Karen!
Send this French toast back. There's too much cinnamon on this. You're gonna kill me.
Yeah. Okay, I see.
Little
Okay, so
Gandolfini.
he's very advanced, really, for a 5-year-old. But I think that ultimately the answer is let's, in our fantasy life, enjoy the villains, but in our real life, let's be heroes. You know what I mean?
That's going in the show for sure. That's going in the. That's going to be part of the sizzle.
There's
when we
a
show
T-shirt.
It.
Yeah, in our real life, let's be heroes.
Well, that was fun.
Well, we danced, we laughed, we cried. Did we cry?
I don't know, but someone cut a hair from my sideburn.
Oh yeah,
that was interesting.
We got haircuts,
and
we
knocked boots.
We did. We knocked boots. We've got the soul.
Yeah, that's gonna be an animated GIF for sure.
Beep boop. That was the.
Yeah.
That's gonna be the sound effect to the GIF. Okay, good. We've solved a lot here.
With every guest on the show, you now have Canadian citizenship.
Oh my God, thank you so much.
I thank you.
Wow.
The show thanks you. Canada thanks you.
Canada, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lake Bell.
Thank you. Thank you. God bless. L'chaim.
Hey guys, if you like more of the behind-the-scenes stuff and extended interviews, then we have just what you're looking for right here. Check out these videos right around here. And be sure to hit that subscribe button. Stay tuned.